To last Saturday night at the Midwest Center for Speed, Elko Speedway. Don Breyette lost his roof, Rick Cott lost control, and ace race photographer Martin DeFries lost his ladder. Buckle up, race fans. The Valvoline Elko Race Report is next.
Souvenir night, warm weather, and lots of exciting racing action brought thousands of people out to Elko Speedway this past Saturday night. Hello again, everyone. I'm Wally Shaver, and along with Ted Ostad, we've got a great show coming your way tonight. First of all, the racing action was extremely close in most of the divisions, and some of the accidents we had last Saturday bordered spectacular. And I guess you have to go back to last week, Ted, when we commented that it seems that following the July 4th weekend, the intensity level picks up for these drivers, and they sure indicated that this past weekend.
They sure did, Wally. As you'll see in the highlights ahead, most of the drivers are real eager to get the racing going, possibly pick up a checkered flag as they head into the second half of the season here. A couple of the races, they weren't even able to complete the first lap as we had some big pileups, a lot of carnage, some bent sheet metal. The crews will definitely be busy as we head into Saturday night's racing card.
We'll have the fastest cars in the Midwest next on the Valvoline Elko Race.
The July 4th racing weekend had 2 days of racing action at Elko Speedway. The late model drivers had piled up 150 laps over those 2 days. So a week's rest was well-deserved for these guys. But when they came back to the 3/8 mile oval, they were ready to race. 21 of the Midwest's fastest cars completed their time trials and their heat races and were ready for the main event. Bob Sellner, one of the 4 fastest through qualifying, had earned the pole position and was flanked by Jason Snyder's number 11 Hooters Chevy IROC Z.
Snyder didn't get a great start as the 30-lap feature got underway. Sellner in car number 33 sped to the front with Jeff Martin's blue Ford Thunderbird sponsored by Richard Larson Builders riding shotgun. Les Ferris, Mike Tuma, and Brian Johnson completed the lead pack of 6 cars. 7th place was the action center in the early stages of this feature race. Rick Austin, a strong performer in recent weeks in his white number 19 Chevrolet Lumina, was staying ahead of Brad Miller in his Don's Appliance Dodge, Tim Johnson in the number 99 car, Steve Mergic in number 3, and Mark Lamoureux in number 26. Off the back straightaway where the cars hit speeds of 105 miles per hour or more, Johnson's white number 99 Old Cutlass faded slightly. Lamoureux in the white MGM Liquor number 26 ride was charging hard into turn 3. Following Lamoureux was the 79 car of Bloomington's Mark Nesheim. As Nesheim tapped Lamoureux's rear end, the hit sent Lamoureux into Tim Johnson, sending him for a loop-de-loop. Lamoureux went high, collecting Flying Brian Mundolf. The number 00 car of Lawrence Petrash slid into the pileup, bringing 4 cars to rest between turns 3 and 4. Whoa! Fast timer Jeff Martin
Go, Daddy, go.
bolted to the lead. Following him into the outer groove was points leader Brian Johnson in his number 18 Hearst Chiropractic Lumina. As Bob Sellner maintained his grasp on second, Johnson's bid to reel him in evaporated. His tires heated up a little bit too much, making him a little loose in that outside groove as his tires got a wee bit greasy. Well, that allowed the number 14 Chev of sod farmer Les Ferris to grow into the number 3 spot. Mike Tuma brought his white number 82 car into 4th, furthering Johnson's slide.
Back a few car lengths was an interesting duel between Steve Mergic in his orange number 3 car and Lakeville's Brad Miller in the number 4 red car. Their door-to-door effort continued for several laps. But up front, 10-time track champion Jeff Martin was pulling away with a 12-car length lead and looking impossible to beat. Martin's view ahead of him was of a tremendous struggle involving 4 cars. Tim Johnson, number 99. The purple car of Barry Tanner. The red McDonald's of Mankato car driven by Mike Riegert, and Apple Valley's Tim Stanley. At one point, these guys were running 3 wide through turns 3 and 4.
Martin's lead was now almost a half a lap. Way behind him, Bob Sellner and Les Ferris were staging a superb toe-to-heel race with Brian Johnson right behind them. As Kenny Wallstad, the flagman, unleashed the checkered, Martin Ford claimed the win. Sellner, running very sound all race long, came across the line in second. Les Ferris was third, Brian Johnson fourth, and Steve Mergic crossed the line in 5th place. Dwayne Fredrickson from Elko Speedway is now trackside with our winner.
We're here with Jeff Martin for the second time this year. Jeff was the feature winner in the Valvoline Late Models. Jeff, can you tell me a little bit about the race?
Well, I had a pretty good starting spot and got behind Bob Sellner and was kind of testing the car out, and I wasn't too worried about passing him real quick because there's no one behind us putting too much pressure on us, and we had that 100-lapper on Monday, and the car worked really good after we got like 10 or 20 laps on it, so I figured I'd just bide my time, and sooner or later I'd be able to get by him, and sure enough we had a restart, and I got up on the outside of him, and it was, you know, basically pretty easy to get by him. He's running pretty good, but my car is real strong, and when I got by him, I just didn't look back and kept cruising, and caught through a few lap cars on the end. She was running real good.
Well, can you tell me what are you thinking when you're going on the outside of somebody like that? Are you piling it in as hard as you can every time, or do you back off?
Well, it kind of depends on the driver. If it's a younger driver who's just started, I come in a little easier because a lot of the newer guys will come in and match whatever you're doing. So if you go flying in the corner as much as you can, they'll do the same thing and slide up into you, and you're going to have trouble. So it depends a lot on the drivers what you do.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jeff, and congratulations.
Thank you.
There's always plenty of excitement in the Gens Ryan Sportsman division. Race fans at Elko Speedway have become accustomed to the very clean but also very fast racing within the division. Last Saturday night, race fans were on the edge of their seat as they anticipated the green flag from the 16-car field.
Paul Payne saw the drop of the green in his frost paint Chevrolet and jumped ahead of the number 25 car of Darren Klegstad. As the field got on the gas in turn 4, Klegstad slid high into Jeff Partington, who then bounced off the wall just in front of the flag stand. Well, as Partington came back down off the wall heading into the infield, he collected the number 80 car of Kent Eastlick and the number 39 red car of Dan Ryan on his way back down. And that, folks, was just the beginning of a multi-car, multi-place accident.
Hush fell over the large crowd as the first lap melee continued down in turn 1. The number 84 engine center Chevrolet, driven by Dick Partington from Farmington, sat at the entrance to turn 1 when Hudson, Wisconsin driver Bill Rhode tagged him from behind. The 2 cars sat idle when number 96 Don Breyette slammed into the rear of Rhode's car, sending him at least 5 feet into the air. The impact from the crash tore Breyette's roof from his car. All the drivers were okay, but their crews will have plenty of work ahead before this Saturday's Gatorade Circle of Champions event, Wally.
And as we take a look at the replay here in slow motion, Ted, we can see coming out of turn 4, Klegstad got himself just a little bit loose and ran up into the car of Partington, which really had sent him spinning, and then the whole thing cascaded from there.
Yeah, Wally, the problem that ensued in this one is you can see Klegstad and Partington there at the front of the pack. Whenever you have something like this where cars are losing control and coming back across traffic, and it happens at the front of the pack, the drivers right behind them are really on the binders hard, and then these other cars just come piling in. And of course, that's what happened over in turn 1. As Breyette, he had no way that he was going to stop, and all of a sudden Rhode was right there, and he just clobbered him. It's really good to see that all of the drivers were okay after this big crash to start off the Sportsman feature race.
6 cars were sidelined from that mishap, and on the restart, it was Payne again jumping to the lead, with current point leader Dick Moeller leapfrogging Klegstad for second place. Number 80, Ken Eastlick, in his Navarro Amico Chevelle continued Klegstad's descent with Steve Anderson and Diane Ryan in hot pursuit.
At the front of the pack, Paul Payne and Dick Moeller were having a classic Elko Speedway Sportsman Division battle. Moeller would look outside, but Payne was hard on the gas, and he'd slam the door shut every single time. This continued throughout the feature race.
It was a joy to watch these two drivers, Ted, going around the 3/8 mile oval here. Dick Moeller, the veteran, he's been in the circuit now for 8 years racing. Paul Payne, just a rookie on the circuit, although he has had some past racing experience. And you can tell the way both of these guys are driving that they know what they're doing out there. They have a lot of respect for each other. And Dick Moeller and Paul Payne just playing a good cat and mouse chase throughout the race.
Yeah, one note on that is you mentioned the word respect. It's good to see that Paul Payne has gained the respect of some of these top drivers like Dick Moeller. He's a very clean driver. You can always know exactly where Paul's going to be at if his car is working right. And you could see a tremendous amount of respect for each other, those two drivers, they did last Saturday night. The top 5 cars of Payne, Moeller, Eastlick, Anderson, and Ryan had distanced themselves from the field. The drivers knew that only a few laps remained, so Moeller once again charged to the outside of Paul Payne. Dan Ryan did the same thing as he battled Anderson for 3rd place. Neither driver could accomplish the pass as Payne grabbed the glory, holding back Dick Moeller.